Hey guys, it's Carla. Today I'm working on 140-pound cardstock paper with acrylic paint. I've got white, cadmium yellow, cadmium orange, coffee latte, skyline, and black. And I've already used this blue to paint the background. I watered it down and just covered the whole background with just a light blue. So now I'm going to start with my flat synthetic brush and go ahead and put in my beach area. So with a little bit of water, I started about right there. You want to go out farther than what it's actually going to be, because you're going to come back over it with water. Alright, I'm going to use my fan brush to kind of bring in some, I guess, shiny area in the sand to make it look wet. So in a vertical stroke, just brushing in some of this white. Some of it will be covered up, but some won't. Okay, now I can go ahead and start on my sky. So I'm back to my flat brush. I want some of the sky to be kind of a medium blue. I want some of it to stay light, and then I want some to be really dark. But here's the medium blue. So I just want to keep it choppy like clouds. I want to leave a little light area right here in the blue part of the sky. And then I want to leave a space here for the orange. So now I'm going to pick up a little bit of black. Make some darker clouds. Okay, and before I move on to my orange, I'm going to go ahead and put my water in. So kind of a darkish blue. And I'm just going to use the flat part of my brush to create this. And actually, it might be easier to do it with a ruler because I'm not great with straight lines, so. All right. I don't want the water to be all one solid color, so I'm just kind of picking up different shades. All right, now I'll start forming the shoreline. So maybe it'll come, I think I'll just, for now, I'll just use vertical strokes and kind of put in some blue about where the shoreline is going to be. But some of this will be on the sand, if that makes any sense. But if I keep that vertical stroke going, it'll look more like water, or like a reflection of water. Maybe over here under this dark cloud I'll have some darker reflection. All right, now I'm going to switch to a smaller flat brush and start putting in some of these waves. So the most important one is right here, the one that forms the shoreline. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up some white on the edge of my brush. And maybe about right here. I just want to push in a water line, like I'm pushing it that way. I'm not worried about the back end of it yet. Okay, now I can, without touching this edge, I'm going to pull the back edge out at a horizontal angle. So now I want another line of waves. Maybe about right here. And then I want to pull it out. And I think I'll have a few little caps back here, but nothing very big. Maybe about right there, about right there. And pull it out. All right, now for the illusion of depth right there, with my liner brush, I'm going to pick up some of this blue. And I want to go right up under, right up against this white cap. And with a little bit darker shade, I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I just decided I think I'll have just a little bit of a water line coming more onto the beach. Maybe I'll mix a little bit of this in it now so that I get the watercolor and the sand color. So again, I'm just pulling out that back edge. The main thing with doing these waves is to make sure that when you pull back, when you pull out on the back edge of it, that you pull out horizontal, keep it level. If you don't, it just won't look right, because water is typically level. Okay, so now I need to use my liner brush again. And put in a little shadow for this one. Okay, so now I can move on to my orange and yellow. Okay, so I'm going to start with the yellow area, just where the sun is going to be. Maybe about right here. And then move out from there with orange. Now I want to go ahead and put in a light area here that will be, I'll end up putting color back on it, but for now it's got to be white so that it'll cover all this blue. Okay, now back to my sky. You may have to go over this several times to get the color as light as you want it. Now I'm going to water it down a little bit, this orange, and kind of come up into the sky a little further. Now I think I want some highlights on some of these clouds. the ones that are facing down, like on the edge that's facing down toward the sun. I'm going to brighten it up a little bit just because I know that acrylic paint dries dull. So I want to make it a little bit brighter than I want it to be. And I'm going to go ahead and put the first coat on my sun. And I'm going to use the back end of my brush to form a circle. And that's so thick on there that that might actually be enough, or I might have to come back and brighten it up. Okay, so now I'm going to put some of this orange, maybe a light orange, in the water. I don't want this to be a perfect line coming down, so I want it to be kind of jagged on the edges. And I think since this is a sunset, I'm gonna water down some orange and just kind of flavor the water a little bit, these white caps. Okay, now the lightest part of the reflection. Again, I don't want a straight line. I want it to feather off. I think in places I want some really dark shadows in the water. So maybe just black. That's where I want it to look extra deep. Just putting in a little darker color on this cloud. And I think I'll put a little bit of this orange in the sand. And maybe a little more white with my flat brush, just in just streaks. All right, I think that does it, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, God bless you.